Hello, welcome to D.L. Howard Art. I'm going to do a painting today in acrylic instead of watercolor, and I'm going to do a scenery, a mountain scene with some water. The picture I actually got from somebody, a fellow artist, so thank you so much, Jess, for letting me paint this picture. I'm going to go ahead and do a basic light blue with really muted blue, like really watered down, and then I'm going to add white to it. So I do this a little bit differently than I would a watercolor. And let's just get started. Since we're all in quarantine and everybody's kind of isolated at home, feel free to paint along with me. Get your tea and let's go. Or your coffee, whatever you're drinking. So I have a couple of palettes, as you can see. I've used these quite a bit. Acrylics are fun to clean up because I don't ever rinse them when they're done. I just peel the paint off when it dries. It's a lot less effort. So, and they don't mix when they're dry, so I don't really care. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the skyline, and it's gonna be a really brilliant blue. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do kind of a more greenish blue down in here for the water. I'll go back through with some greens and a couple trees, and we'll just get it done. See if I can get this done in about 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a slanted brush. These are my acrylic brushes, so I'm going to actually make a slurry of water and in one of these wells. So it's just very liquidy and not thick. And I'm just gonna, I have a hook up here so I can use, but on box canvases, you wanna make sure that you really pay attention to the corners and the sides. I'm not gonna worry too much about the any white that's going through. I'm just going to get the color on there. And, ooh, I'm getting it on myself. I can just get more water if I want. Now, since I want to kind of thin this out a little bit, I'm going to lay the canvas flat so I don't have too much dripping. And I'm just going to kind of bring this paint down. Just like that. And I'm going to get a little bit more in here. A little bit more water. Just like that. I'm going to try and get this side too. I don't care about that. And I'm actually just going to paint all the way across the bottom there. Good. Moving it all around for you. Just keep going back and forth until it pretty much looks somewhat blended. And then I can put it back on the easel here. Now, as I have this kind of wet, I'm going to carry it down. Just keep going with it. I don't know yet exactly where I'm going to have my water. And I'm going to put more water over the top of this. So, and since this is acrylic, it's a lot more forgiving. It's really nice in that regard. You can paint over. What you don't want to do is paint on it when it's wet, too wet. So the key to doing acrylics in a fast way is to just make sure you work with them in a very watered down state and treat them like a watercolor in a way. So I just want to get some of that. I'm actually deliberately making these kind of striations back and forth down in the water with a middle section that's not. And I'm kind of laying out the framework for what my water scene will look like. It's kind of making itself already. So I'm just going to go in with a darker highlight and add to it in that section. Okay. So now that I've got my sky kind of done up the way I want, I'm going to go in with a towel and I'm going to wad up one of my junk towels and just kind of blot out an area where there's going to be clouds. See how easy this is? Like literally, there's your clouds. And even one of my hairs is helping make a cloud. I'll just put one up here and maybe one that's coming over this way. Okay, it's basically what I'm doing here is kind of marking my canvas. I now see where I want those clouds to be, and I can go in with the white and really appropriately color them and fix them out. And I'm kind of seeing this is where I want my shadow to be. And it looks like I've got a little bit of a mountain range here, and then it kind of comes out a little bit more in the foreground here. And I've got some brush here, a little bit of brush here, and some trees. Literally, this will make itself in like just a few seconds. So now that I'm done with the sky, I'm literally not going to do anything more on that blue sky. I'm going to add to the clouds. Usually clouds have a little bit of a white, and then they have like either 2 or 3 tones underneath it that represent a shadow. And so I usually use gray, purple, really muted colors. And in this case, I'm not going to do that yet. I want to kind of let it dry. I want to let the water kind of sit. And I'm going to bring this closer to you. I want you to see how right in this area, this darker area, as the paint settles down, it kind of makes a little bit of a line in the background there. So good. All right. So now, what I want to do is I can take a little bit of my white. I gotta get my reference photo back up. Okay. So I'm going to do just a little bit of the white in the top here, and I'm just going to swirl it around. So everywhere there's, and I'm not gonna blend it. I just want to just dance it in there. And there we go. So usually it's brighter up top, not always, but sometimes the clouds have a shadow in the middle, and sometimes they have it in other places. So, and I'm just swirling this around. Swirl, swirl, swirl. And some more right here. Swirl, swirl. And I'll pick up some of the blue now as it's a little bit drier, but still a little bit wet. I'm picking up some of that blue pigment. Just like that. Beautiful. Just like that. And gonna do a little bit here. Dancing it around. And I don't want to forget some of these sides here. I want to make sure that they're accurately represented. And I can just keep swirling this around, and it just pulls some of that color. And I'm going to go a little bit below here. Add some white underneath. And let's get some more up here. Okay, good. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit on top here. And make it come down this way a little. And just like that. Nice. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of, I have a darker blue, and I really want to mute it down with some black and make kind of a little bit of a shadow, gray color. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay. So I'm adding a bunch of water. I've like diluted it down like 3 times now. And I'm just going to kind of tap in here. Just like that. Now, it's pretty wet, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a dry brush and just use it to absorb any color. And I'm just going to tap it like that. It leaves such a subtle which is exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm tapping just like that, and picking up some more of that color. So I'm finding areas that are already dark and just putting that in there as an extra shadow for these clouds. In there. And at the base of these. Just like that. Oops. Actually, it's working really nice with just this little brush here. So now I'm just kind of tapping it. Box canvas is its own little entity as well. It's different than painting on paper. So you have to kind of work with what medium you have and what it's doing. So I'm going to put those down. I do have some of my watercolor fluffy brushes that I will sometimes use. And just mixing that all up in the canvas here. Just blending it a little bit. And take some of that white. Just softening it out. So all the colors and all the tones are in there. I'm just going to kind of blend them out now. Okay, I like that. All right, so now I'm going to just go ahead and add a little bit of the background for the, looks like there's a ridge there. So in the far back, it's going to be very black. So I have a slanted brush here, and I'm going to go probably right here. Okay, there we go. Good. And just going to make that a little bit good. Okay, so in this case, here's our trees. And I'm just going to kind of use the edges of this brush to just kind of make these little trees back there. There you go. And just like that. Just giving the illusion there's something out there. Oh, the birds are chirping. Okay. A couple little indentations of a shoreline here. Just like that. And bring it in here. Taking some artistic liberties here with this one. This is a little bit of a mountain in a valley back here. And, oops, gonna need some more water on that. Right there. There we go. Just like that. And I'm just bringing this to the forefront a little bit. Just like the other side, kind of bring the same old shoreline back there. And I'm gonna just dab a corner of that in white. Again. And on this side. Good, just like that. Oop. There were my other towels. It's okay. All right, so what we have here now is I'm making room for a couple trees, and I'm going to bring some brush up in here. I'm going to have this this area kind of with some brush, and I'm just going to get it on there really quick. I don't care if that black gets in there, because I want, you know, sticks and nature represented here. So then I'm going to start going crazy with this green. I'm going to blot that a little bit first. I've got a couple different greens that I'm putting in here. I don't care that this is all meshed up with the black and that's what I want. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Blending this in, blending this in. Oops. And you have this nice reflection of the clouds that's kind of in there. I'm gonna go back in a couple spots, I think, before I get too vested in this. I'm gonna use a fan brush, actually. All right, and I'm gonna just do a couple little let's see if that will. Just like that. So I pretty much took a lot of the paint out, and I just kind of dabbed it a little bit. And I'm just kind of making some lines back in there. Perfect. Okay, just like that. That's all I want to do. Going back to the green here. I made a couple of mistakes, so I'm going to cover that up with some of this. And I have a darker green that I'm going to keep using on this brush and mixing it with the little bit of the lighter green. Just like that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of a liner brush and the black, and I need this very thin. Oh, you know what? We're going to do something with my knife real quick. I forget, I'm working with a canvas. So anywhere there are these dark green, I'm pulling it in and adding like brush lines. Oh, I'm adding a black to my knife. I'm just scratching it. any paint that gets on here and scratches and drags that right through is perfect. Lovely. Don't be afraid to play with different mediums that you have available to you and different techniques, and you just learn along the way what works and what your hand does. It's fascinating. What will your brain create? Give it the chance. Give it an opportunity. And I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more on this dark green. And I'm going to try and actually do a little bit of white on that. There we go. Anything back here I can add that might look like it's missing something. Just kind of blending that in over here. All right, let's do the trees. So I just want a nice and easy line. And I'm gonna try and get some black in here that's somewhat not too runny. Gotta be careful with this. Okay, so we're gonna go up. So this tree is kind of like coming out of here. Okay, and good. Okay, so I'm gonna get to my liner brushes now. Once I get the thick trunk part done, it's easier from there. This is the tricky part with acrylics, is that they're not as smooth. So you get a paint that can kind of crack a little bit as you draw it along. So you got to get the right consistency, and it's got to be right, watered down just right. But once you get it, look at that. Isn't that awesome? You can get these going so perfect, so imperfectly perfect, just like nature. Couple branches here. Yep. Oh, I love that. So I pressed it down and let it do its thing. And definitely my favorite thing to do, the little wispies up in here. Make sure that this is all kind of covered up. Little areas that there's some blotchiness here, I'm going to put some other trees, brush, something that's going on there. And it looks like I'm going to just do a little one over here. So that's nice. It's a lot of lifting once you get up. Worth it though. Worth all of the patience that it goes into doing this. It's very cool.